back to another H&R Lifestyle sit-down video. If you guys are new here, be sure to check out all of the rest of our videos. We do vlogs and, of course, other videos. So far, it has just been me featured on the channel just because Ryan works a lot. But today's video is going to be the story of how we met, when we first started talking, and then so far, today's relationship of trying to start a family and, you know, trying for a baby. So, again, I'm hoping to do this video again in a later date with Ryan so he can, you know, put his input on our relationship and kind of his point of view on the whole situation. So I'm going to start off from the very first day that we started talking, and that was about, you know, it was in 2015. I do know that for a fact, but I want to start off a little bit earlier to the time. Of course, this is my perspective and my interpretation on everything. Was back in, I think it was June or July of 2015, I decided to start a Tinder account, and I really didn't want anything. I was 18 years old at the time, thought that I was just going to be on this app for fun. It was like an enjoyment thing that I was doing. I wasn't out to find anybody. I wasn't out to find a relationship. It was just something because everybody was on it. Everybody was doing it. It was just kind of like a fad, and I wanted to try it out. And I never expected that in September of 2015, the very beginning of September 2015, that I would match up with Ryan, and Ryan would be the first one to message me, because I was never one that would, even if we matched, I wouldn't message them first. It's not my style, not my personality. I'm a very shy, reserved person. So going off that, he messaged me the very first time. We started talking on the Tinder app, and I think it was about the second day when we were talking that it was late at night, 1 in the morning or something like this, and it was just different. The conversation was totally different because sorry about the male population, but men on there are pigs. And what I mean by that is they send you a message, they start really nice, and then all of a sudden you get a dick pic. And I don't want a dick pic. Ryan was totally different. I never got that from him at all. And, you know, it was just it was a very genuine conversation, and I felt comfortable talking to him. Of course, not spreading my whole life story to him, of course, but in moderation talking to him, I felt comfortable, and I felt, you know, I felt secure in talking to a stranger that I'd never met before and that I didn't know, and, you know, that kind of thing. I just felt comfortable, and he didn't make it feel awkward or pushed, or he didn't come across as a perv, like, send me a boob pic, or, you know, anything like that. He wasn't nowhere near being like that. If anything, he was a gentleman. So starting off with that, and then we were talking for a few months by then. It came to be my birthday, and my friend and I and my mom, of course, went to stay at the city or the mall where I was celebrating my 19th birthday. And he was in the same vicinity because he lived like 3 hours away from where I originally lived at the time of us starting to talk. So at that point, he was in the same place as us, except he was at a different event than what I was at. So I invited him to come along to go mini golfing, but of course things came up and we weren't able to meet. He ended up having to go visit his parents, and, you know, I figured that's fine. Maybe he just doesn't want to meet. You know, I just kind of accepted the thing, but we still kept talking. So it wasn't a total reserve of, you know, I don't want to meet you, I'm just leading you on, and I don't want to meet you. But it kind of put a damper on things, and it kind of like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to worry about it. And then it came to, you know, I thought, well, maybe he just doesn't want to meet up because he knows I'm with my friend and my mom's here. Maybe he just thinks that, you know, that's not the best meeting scenario or situation. So moving on to a few months later, December 13th, of course, we're still talking at this point. So from the beginning of September all the way to December 13th, 2015, I wanted to go see a movie, but my friend had canceled on me, and he sends me a text. Put in mind, he lives 3 or 4 hours away from me, from where I'm living. He says to me, okay, well, I can drive out and watch this movie with you, go see this movie with you. And I figured, yeah, okay, sure, here, you can meet me. I'll meet you at the theater or whichever. Which turned out it started to snow, and my parents, especially my dad, is very protective over me. they're not strict, that he's just very protective over his little girl. And you know, they went through the process of, well, your mom can drive you, and I was at the age where I don't want my mom to drive me, I don't want my dad to drive me, I want to go by myself. Put in mind, I do have my license, so I wanted to drive by myself, go meet him alone. Sorry, you probably hear a vehicle in the back, but I wanted to go alone, so I got in the car, I drove. We actually ended up meeting up at a gas station because it was snowing, so my parents didn't feel safe with me driving all the way to the movie theater alone or by myself. So the plan was that he would meet me at this gas station / restaurant in the parking lot that we knew as family friends, so I could leave my vehicle there and I could be picked up and taken. So that comes to the time, and he says, I give him directions to this location, and I accidentally give him the wrong directions. By accident, I mean I gave him all the right directions all the way up until this one turning point when I told him to turn right when I meant left. And still to this day, he bugs me about that, and we had to turn him around, get him back to going the right way, but still to this day, he doesn't trust my directions, which is totally understandable because I still mess up to this day with my directions. So he pulls up into the parking lot, and I get out, he gets out, we talk, I get in the car, and then we head to the movie theater. So we get to the movie theater, and I actually still have my movie tickets, and I have them in an album of keepsakes and everything for our relationship all throughout the years. And then we go watch the movie Krampus. If you aren't familiar, it's like a Christmas horror film type genre type movie. And the whole time he never tried anything, creepy or anything remotely weird with me or towards me. He was just a regular person, and it felt like he was the same person over text. I find that when you text somebody, they're usually a different person over text than they are in real life. This was totally not the case. Same person over text that he was in real life, which I give him a major credit for because it's rare to find that. And so we watch the movie, we leave. Again, he, poked me in the arm a few times, but like poking me in the arm, that's minor. So we get in the car, and I must add here, I have never kissed a boy. I've never been in a committed relationship. I've never, high school dating is not dating to me. You don't do anything. I never kissed, like I said, I never kissed anybody, I've hugged them or whatever, but like nothing on the, nothing on the physical side of a relationship, never have done. We get in the car to leave the theater, and he leans over and plants one on me, just a kiss, and he says, and in his words, says, I know this is what you've been waiting for. I turned a beet red like a tomato because honestly, I've never kissed a guy before. That was my first kiss, and it felt right. And it felt right. I felt like, okay, this felt right. It felt weird because it was my first kiss, but it felt right. It felt normal. It didn't feel like awkward or anything like that. So then we go, I take him because he wanted to spend more time and visit me because he also had work the next day or the day after or something. But he wanted to spend more time than just sitting in a movie theater. We don't get to talk a whole lot. So I sent him, because he was driving, I sent him on a long route around back to the place where we first met to take me back to my vehicle. When we get back to the vehicle, he kisses me again, we talk, we get out of the vehicle, we, laugh, joke around, and, nothing sexually happened or anything like that. Nothing was directed towards that. And then I got in the car, and then we were standing there, We were standing there, and he says to me, would you like to go with me? Which meaning, in his words, because he's that type of guy, do I want to be his girlfriend? And I said, quote my words, sure, if you want to. And he just looks at me and says, well, I wouldn't be asking if I didn't want to. So that's basically the day that we became official boyfriend and girlfriend. Then, of course, we said goodbye. He invited me to go ice fishing and meet his parents right off the bat, which was very, it was new for me because it wasn't something that I've done before. It was a whole new experience. So I went And of course I said to him, I have to ask my dad because he's very reserved. I would have to stay at his house. It was a week away, and I'd really have to talk to my parents about it because their opinion matters the most to me. So, of course, we split our ways. He went home. I went home. I talked to my dad. My dad was sitting up all night pacing, worrying about me because he's never met this boy before. And then as the week goes by, we're still talking and everything, like everything's perfectly fine and normal. And I, say to my mom, hey, I'm kind of nervous bringing this up to Dad, but I kind of want to go stay with him and then go ice fishing with his parents and meet his family. And she says, well, I don't see why there would be an issue, but we'll talk to your dad. We'll do it together. So my mom and I sat, and I got together with my dad, and, we sat down at dinner time, and I said to my dad, hey, I want to go spend the weekend. I want to go ice fishing with his family. And to no surprise, my dad said, sure. I was very shocked, very surprised, because I never thought in a million years my dad would say sure. But he says, I have one stipulation. And I said, okay, what's that stipulation? He says, I have to meet him first. I said, okay, I can try to arrange this. And Ryan was right off the bat, yeah, I can meet him. I'm fine with that. I'm totally cool with that. I can meet your dad. I can meet your mom. There's no problems with that. So another flag went up as being good. It was a good thumbs up that he wasn't afraid to meet my parents. He wanted me to meet his parents right off the bat. It just felt very sincere and very real and very, nothing felt out of place. Nothing felt wrong. The fact that he wants me to meet his parents right off the bat, and the fact that he's not scared to meet my parents right off the bat, was very sincere, and I absolutely am thankful for that. So moving on to the day that he finally comes to see my dad, and my dad is like the TV dads with the shotgun and, stuff like that. Not that he had any guns out or anything like that, but he's that kind of demeanor. He's very protective of his little girl, put it that way. And so they get talking and they hit it off right away, like best friends, whatever, and still to this day, they are best friends. Literally, it's me that gets left out while they go do something else. And I'm so thankful for that, because I don't think I would be with Ryan if my dad didn't approve or like him. So moving on to ice fishing and meeting his parents is the first time I met his parents. We went ice fishing, and then we went for dinner. And the first 2 or 3 times that I did meet his parents were when we went ice fishing, which I absolutely love ice fishing. I love the outdoors and stuff like that. So it was no dreadful thing. And meeting his parents is absolutely wonderful. I absolutely love his parents. They are wonderful people, and his mom is like my second best friend. It is absolutely wonderful, and I can't be thankful enough for that. So skipping a few moments down the road, a few months later, we started talking about, he never pressured me into anything. I must mention, I am not his first relationship sexually. So moving on to this, it was my first time with anything, doing anything, kissing. Like I said, I've never done anything. So we started talking. It wasn't pressured or anything, but I said I want to talk about it before I, have sexually intercourse, or I have intercourse. So I said to him, well, I want to go on birth control before we start, just to take precautions. So I talked to my mom and I talked to my dad. I got a doctor's appointment made. I went on birth control, and I was on that for about 2 months before we did anything. So we were dating for about 6 months before we actually started having sexual intercourse, which was perfect. He didn't pressure me. It was a mutual decision, and he understood that I had never experienced anything like this before, so he was willing to wait for me. He even said to me, if you want to wait till marriage, I'll wait that long. I'm not going to pressure you into anything, which, again, put another green flag up for good and just made me feel even more comfortable. And, I felt good being around him. Again, let's skip forward a couple more, say a year, close to a year. But October of 2016 is the first birthday that I would be celebrating with him. And he says to me, well, I have something planned for your birthday, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. And we're going to go I'm going to take you somewhere. Okay, sure, that'd be okay. He says, but you have to wear a blindfold in the car. you have to go to sleep. We're leaving at like 4:30 or 5:30 in the morning. We left or something like that. And he says, you have to sleep. You have to wear a blindfold. You can't see where we're going. This is going to be a surprise. So at this point, we're just about been dating for a year, and it is just a day trip, but he takes me to the mountains, and the mountains are my most favorite place in the world. When I'm in the mountains, it is like I said, my all-time favorite place in the world. And why am I crying over mountains? Like, my eyes are getting teary. Like seriously? What is this? They're just mountains. Anyway, the mountains is my absolute, like I said, my favorite place. And he finally said to me, okay, you take the blindfold off. And I woke up and I was in the mountains, and I had only mentioned the mountains maybe 3 times to him over the past, year or so of talking at least. And then the 10 months of dating, it was just surreal to me to think this guy really listened to me and knew that I loved the mountains this much that he decided to surprise me on my birthday. My parents knew where he was taking me, and at this point he was moved in with me at my parents just so he wasn't so far away. It wasn't a 3-hour drive. We were looking into places by ourselves, but my parents said, okay, we can house both of you. That is fine. Of course they would house me, but rent-free for Ryan to stay at their house until we found a place to move out together. So, like I said, at this point, he had moved in at August, I do believe, with my parents, just so we weren't so far apart, so we were closer, which it created an excellent relationship with him, with my parents, and then getting to see his parents and my parents interact, a great relationship between them as well. And of course, I have a wonderful relationship with his parents. I'm their little girl because they only have 2 sons, so moving on with that was just a surprise of a lifetime. And then moving on a few months down the road to our 1-year anniversary. We are not ones to celebrate Valentine's Day, nothing. Like, we aren't that type of couple. So our 1-year anniversary comes, and he says to me, what do you want to do? I said, well, I don't know. I don't really have any plans to do anything. And he says, well, I'll take you to your favorite restaurant. So we went out for dinner for our favorite restaurant. I get him a little gift. My gift was the restaurant dinner because it is an expensive restaurant. So then we're going to skip forward a little bit further for meeting his grandparents. And these are like Ryan's most favorite people besides his parents. These are the people that he loves the most and wants to share every moment of life with them. And they live really, really far away. So this is my chance to meet them, and getting their approval I can tell, is really important to Ryan. And let me tell you, Ryan's grandmother and grandfather are my own grandmother and grandfather. I get along with them better than I do my own grandmother. I love my grandma, but there's some issues there. But I absolutely love them and get along with them great, fantastic. They call me their granddaughter, and I cannot be grateful for that I am just so happy and thrilled that his whole family took me in along the way. And also, I'd like to mention, a few months before my birthday, I think it was in the September, before he took me on the surprise trip, we went to his hometown, and which is we live in Canada, so provinces away. And I met the rest of his family and his cousins and some of his friends and that kind of thing, which was absolutely wonderful. I got along well with every single one of them. So, skipping ahead again is to, I guess now, our 2-year, well, we're just about to the 3-year mark. It is April now. So we're almost to the 2.5 years, and we've been living together for a year now because we moved in together to our own place on December 3rd of 2016. So December 13th, 2016 was of course our 1 year, and then of course December 3rd of 2017 we were living here for a year together in the same place, and we're still living in the same place. And then, of course, December 13th, 2017 was our 2-year anniversary. So moving on to March 2018 is when we decided that, I'm on my not my expiry date, but I'm on the end of my prescription, so I have to go see my doctor to get it renewed. This is the moment that we made the decision that we want a family. We've been talking about it for about 6-7 months beforehand, But we said, you know, I already have the prescription. I've already paid for it. We're going to finish it off. Really think about it when I get onto my last box or my last packet of birth control pills. And that's when we're going to make the big decision on whether we're going to start a family or not. He loves kids. I grew up with nieces and nephews. I still have, of course, nieces and nephews, but I grew up around newborn babies, and I did babysitting and childcare courses in college, and I've always wanted a family, and this was just falling into place. And sure, we're not engaged, we're not married, but I don't care about that, and neither does he. We'll do that on our own time. And Ryan and I, we want our wedding, and we've talked about it. We want our wedding to have our kids in it. It's just something that we want. So we're not going to get it, and I'm not going to pressure him into it. We want money for our kids first, and then money for a ring or engagement, because in my mind and in his mind, we're already married. We may not have the paper to show it or the ring to prove it, but I don't need that. I just need to know that he's there to support me and love me, and he needs to know that I'm there. And, you know, starting a family is our choice. So, of course, this is a month later. It is April, and I've been off birth control for just about a month, and I don't know if I'm pregnant. I have been having some symptoms, but I'm really hoping so. I am hoping in like 3 days to take a test, because then I'll know if I am late or not, and I could not be happier. So I hope you guys enjoyed that little story time of our relationship. I really love you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, do all those things. Tell me a little bit about your relationship. What kind of things do you do to keep track of all of the memories that you guys have shared? Or do you guys have a story similar to ours? Is it really wrong to meet somebody online? Because I really don't think so. Before I would think, oh, you meet somebody online? Not anymore, because I found my soulmate online, and I couldn't be happier with the way things are going. So, yeah, again, like, subscribe, comment, follow me on all of my social media down below, Instagram and Twitter. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time with the next video. And yeah, I love you guys. I hope you follow along with our journey and our story of starting a family, and hopefully soon maybe a pregnancy test result. Anyways, love ya. Bye.